Click the button, Ruby.
What button?
The live button. And then it's about to kick back. I gotta go to YouTube and press pause. See, I just heard myself. Bam. All right.
Oh, I can see. Okay.
Yeah. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. You know what to do in the chat room. Could you please let me know if you can hear me? What's up, X? What up? What up? What up? Let me know. Put it in chat for me, y'all. Y'all can let me know if you can hear me. This is the pre-show. This is the pre-show. Light one up, Ruby. Let's go. Yeah, I ain't got no confirmation yet. Let me know, y'all. Let me know in the chat. I heard myself come back through the video, but let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Thank you. Audio is clear.
There you go.
That's what they said. Me and Ruby about to light up a spliff. Come on, Ruby, light up.
Let's light up. Light up some.
Put your lighters up. Are you lighting up for real? Are you lighting sage? Stop playing. Like, hold on, you smoking for real? I do not condone smoking, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea what that stuff is. Yeah. So let me check y'all out. Raymond, what's good, man? What's happening? What's going on, man? What's going on? We're gonna get started at 8 o'clock. The Prime Minister, Minister Jew, should be in the building at 8 o'clock. Yeah. So look, man, you know how we do on the pre-show, man. This is a good time to ask any questions that you may have. This is the channel Hip Hop Astrology TV. So if you got a question, man, astro stuff, personal charts, whatever, man, now is really time to get it in before the room gets crowded. All right. So I like to open up 15 minutes early if possible. You know what I'm saying? To be able to do just that. So Chicago, man, I heard that snow coming down on you right now. Getting some of that white light reverberating back down here. Thoughts that didn't make it up out the atmosphere coming back to you. That's what I heard. K Money, what's up? All right. LA, September 6th. Got to give me more than that. Give me more than that. Give me something. Because I'm not punching the data in. You got to already know what you want to know. And we can just do an elaboration on it. Ruby, what's up? What's going on with you?
It's getting settled behind those screens over here.
Nice to see you again.
Likewise.
Just saw you again. Yeah, man, I heard, man. Definitely bright light daylight for a few hours after sunset. Yeah, I heard, man. I heard. LA, September 6th, 92. No. You gotta put it in. You gotta put it in astro.com or something. You know what I mean? Hey, I got Venus and whoop. I got Venus and Taurus. You know what I'm saying? Mars about to go in Taurus pretty soon. What's that looking like for me? You know what I mean? Like, you got to give it to me like that, fam. You know what I mean? Because I'm not punching the data in the actual chart. It's just a little bit too time consuming. Yeah, so we're gonna get started. We're going in on soul, as y'all can see tonight's conversation, the topic. Do me a solid, man. Why they got me signed in? That's weird. I don't want to be signed in. Is that
some tunes on? Let me know if it's too loud.
You good? All right. So Saturn transit Sun conjunction, my fellow Aquarian. Okay. So it's gonna be time to get real serious. You know what I'm saying? Like real serious, like you ain't never been serious before. Like real serious, like you ain't never been serious before. So serious, they're gonna think you the Dogon. You gotta be that serious. All right. So man, it's all about success. It's all about handling your business. The fathers in our lives may tend to need to be looked after, or the parent that was the responsible one for you. Um, and so, Saturn and Sun combination can represent the dimming of the light. You understand what I'm saying? And both of these are fatherly figures. You feel me? And so, look after the elder and whatnot. But the high side of it is, man, conserve, don't splurge. You know what I mean? Stack your nuts like a squirrel, and do the right thing, and use this as a good 2 year, 3 year. Saturn's in the sign for about 2.5 years. So use it for, you might as well just plan for 3. Come up with a solid 3 year plan on how you're gonna stack. You know what I'm saying? And like really stick to that. You know what I mean? And then let the energy make the best move from that particular point. You know what I mean? So it's a real easy one, man. And that ain't gonna be too hard, man. It's just gonna be handling your business. Um, Unfortunately, you're gonna have to probably make some tough decisions to cut some people. You know what I'm saying? If you don't and you feel like it's necessary and you resist it, then the negative aspects of the decision that you make comes out. Oh, limitations, and I feel like I ain't getting anywhere, and I feel like I got all these negative people around me. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. You know that. You already know who that is. You know what I'm saying? We just fighting against what we already know. So Saturn is the part of our psychology that demands that we make a tough decision for the overall good of success. Right? That's it. It ain't hard, man. If you win it, it's crystallization. Go back, study Oprah. Go back, study Jay-Z. Go back, study Birdman. I studied those 3 many, many, many moons ago. Um, when they were 28 to 30 years old, looking at what they were going through during the infamous Saturn return when they 28 to 30 years old. And why was it that they wasn't having necessarily the hardships, and these cats were, ladies and gents, was making these tremendous deals, $100 million, right? Birdman for sure. Like they're making great, great deals. Why? What was it that was different? Well, they had been grinding, right? Which is a Saturn principle. They have been grinding. And then when the planet returned, crystallization happens. It's magic. It's just like that. It's real easy. Okay. All right. Come on, man. Y'all got to put a thumbs up, alert the algorithm. You got to go. Hey.
He's talking about Saturn in that 28-year period.
Yes.
How does that relate to your Sati period in Vedic?
Yo, what? The what?
Sati.
You're Saudi. Nothing what you
My
talking
sis put me on to the Sati. It's like a 28-year period where Saturn is basically
it's the same thing.
hemming you up to get you in a good system and structure.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's known as in English the Saturn return.
Okay.
Yeah. It takes on average 28 to 30 years for Saturn to go full circle, to come right back to where it was from your original point of observation, whether it's your birthday where Saturn was or whatever, right? So it's a 28-year cycle, 28 to 30-year cycle. Time to grow up. I'm 30 years old. What am I still doing at my mom's house on the damn couch playing video games? It's time to grow up. That's what it is. I'm 30. I never had my own apartment. What is wrong with you? 30. Right? So that's what it is.
I'm trying to like
peace of love. Saturn and Taurus in the 5th house. Woo! All right, so man, really, honestly, man, your love life, your children, your creativity, your art, that should be a source of success for you. So building structure. Saturn is all about the structure. Go ahead, Drew, say something. Make sure your mic is on.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So Saturn is the structure. You know what I'm saying? So if you can build a structure and foundation and models of success as it pertains to your art, as it pertains to your creativity, your fun, your children, your love, your romance, right? Then boolah, you know what I mean? You can build. So I really see that, especially if you got children, that, you know, you got to watch that marker, because that combination could really represent being hard on children, or there's some form of limitation in the lack of fun. So you got to find ways to integrate it, because Saturn's energy is work, 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 work in a sense. So you got to make sure that you can blend that well into that house frequency of fun and lighten it up. So find that delicate balance when it deals with success and fun, and all should be well. All right. All right, let's go, man. We gotta get the thumbs up button up to the doubles. So if you ain't did it yet, could you please click the thumbs up button? And we're gonna get started in 4 minutes. 4 minutes. The Prime Minister, what up, man? What's good?
What's good? What's good, Noble Ruby? What's happening?
What's the word? Man, I can't call it. Ruby, you still here? What are
Oh,
you?
I was muted. Hey, Drew. It's so good to see you.
Likewise.
Ruby lexicon. All right, yeah, man. What we got, y'all? 4 minutes in time, man. We like to come on. All right, Saturn the third. Let me give you one. Saturn the third. Man, you got something to say. You know, don't delay it. Don't delay your own speech either. You know what I'm saying? That could definitely be a muffle or a muzzle on your own mouthpiece. Say it. You know what I'm saying? And really, if you have any inclination towards writing, speaking, things of that nature, then it becomes imperative that you shall do such. You also may be taking responsibility for siblings at some point in time as well, where it's like you are the brother, dad, or you know, sister, mom in a sense. But that's cool, you know what I'm saying? But you know, reach back and see if you can help siblings, especially if they tapping into you, you know what I mean, to succeed. But I definitely see that one more of, hey, whatever you got to say, teach, speak on, you know what I'm saying? Put some form and structure around that, and take off time. That's what that be. Did I miss the vision board webinar yet? Nah, the vision board webinar is tomorrow. Tomorrow, me and Ruby, tomorrow, but it's private, so you got to register for it. So I'm gonna go grab a link for y'all for sure. But that's gonna be tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Wow, I'm gonna see you again, Ruby.
I know.
3 times in 1 week. Okay, all right.
Back to back.
All right. Yeah, yeah, that's tomorrow. It's gonna be bananas, man. I'm gonna show y'all in that good old Bible, man. I always say it, man. Damn, that minister Jew said it. The Bible just he don't say just, he say it is. I'd be like, it just may be the greatest book ever written, you know. Because man, hey man, when they in that Habakkuk, what is it, chapter 2, verse 2, talking about the visions and make it plain on tablets. There's a certain kind of vision you got to have. It just ain't dealing with you looking at it and visualizing it. There's a certain kind of vision you have to have. And the tablet ain't about necessarily you just writing it down on something. And I gave y'all hints to it that I'm going to show you that it's absolutely dealing with a Saturn principle that deals with time in calendar, in space. All right, I'm going to show you this. All right, I'm going to show you what the good old scripture says. All right. All right. Peace, peace. Monica, what's happening? All right. So what we got? 7:59, 1 minute. We're going to blast off. Hit the thumbs up button for us. Can we get up to a deuce? Hit the thumbs up button for us so we can just alert the algorithm. This is why I like to do this show a little early on the pre-show. That way, you know what I mean? You know, we can do some quick Q&As. Sheep, my stepson is 30 and he not even thinking about moving. As they be, right? Yeah, it's they a new breed, man. But it's all good. You know what I mean? If we can put them on the path of success, you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, stack up so you can build for a better future, man. It's all cool. You know what I mean? But I got some catch around here, and boy, this dude can eat. And I'm like, hey, bro, you coming to me for a video game? Hey, bro, you better ask me what can you do to earn it. And he's like, I got my own money. Oh, okay. Well, break out $40 then. I'll make the transaction. Shoot. All right, so it's 8 o'clock. Let's do it. Thank you for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. You got us there. All right, man. So today's conversation is Disney Pixar's movie Soul. If I'm not mistaken, it was Ruby who came first and said, Noble, check out Soul. I woke up to a text message and I'm like, what is she talking about? Right. Which I did watch, and then a couple people emailed me, text me about it, and the same with Jew, and then I got on it, man. So Ruby, ladies first, I guess in a sense, you are the lady. We just can't, we gotta honor that, right? And you did bring it to my attention first. So you want to open this up?
Hey, when my daughter put me on to it. She's 14 and she was like, Mom, this movie comes out on Christmas. It's called Soul. And as soon as I heard the title, I was like, I already knew, I already knew. And so it took me in so many different directions, and it was just so exhilarating and so moving for so many different reasons. Like even preparing to come on with you guys tonight, I was like, dang, it's just so rich with material. So rich. And so I was so happy to share with you. I was happy to have people such as yourselves where I could share it and just know it was going to just blast off into some whole next shit. So I'm so lit up to be here with y'all to explore it. I was thinking, Noble, I would just kind of follow y'all's lead and get in where I fit in.
Okay, look at the ball player, Jew. Look at the ball player. Okay.
Hey, the beer. She playing the point. She playing the point guard tonight, man. She assisting that rock. You gotta,
Yeah, I see it. Hey, Ruby, they gotta tell them you went to Howard and played ball and used to be busting people's behind, right?
People don't believe me. I don't know why. But like basketball was my life for a long time, and I ended up getting a scholarship to go to Howard. I actually chose Howard among quite a few bigger private white institutions, and I did my thing. And in the movie, when they were talking about the flow state, well, not the flow state, the zone,
yeah.
I just immediately flashed back, and it's an amazing state to be in. I recall I had 28 against Villanova. Right. I had 34 against Stony Brook in the zone, and I think one other 18 against Duke. It wasn't big numbers, but I had a double, and I was them girls. They bring up your level of play, and that's actually one of the important elements to entering into the flow state. There's got to be like equal level of challenge and ability. You know what I mean, to get you up there. And so definitely that resonated with me. Zone.
Dope. Just so y'all don't know, Ruby's a shooter for real. For real. Man, all right. So let me go on my show notes, man. What you got, Jew, man? Man, I got a few show notes, man. Let me see here. Man, I guess I'll kick it off, man. I was really impressed at the one part of the movie where he was on the elevator or the escalator into the great light known as the great beyond. Now, this is interesting. Two things here. The great beyond was talking about death, ladies and gentlemen, and it looked like he was being escorted into this humongous, bright, white light. Now, I've said before, I've had 2 near-death experiences where I was suspended in an infinite state of white light, pure D bliss. And when I looked at that in the movie and saw how bright it was, I was like, yeah, that's facts. And I know from the near-death experience studies that I've seen, people talk about this bright light, and it's almost as if there's no English word that can explain it besides bliss. Okay. And I can totally relate to that state because I've been in that state twice. One, watch the frequency of this, because you know how Neptune and Pisces is spirituality, right? And imagination, right? And transcendental consciousness, right? And then it's also drugs and alcohol. So it had to be what, June 95, doggy house, Snoop came with doggy style.
Yeah, doggy style.
Right? I'm gone off Tanqueray. Bit done. It's a wrap. I ain't drink so much. I got alcohol poison. I'm out. And I'm suspended in this state of white light for hours upon hours. Same frequency. I don't recommend it because, again, the energy is the energy. You can get there through the hard way, or you can get there through the more soft, conscious way, in a sense. Okay. And the other time was just in standing, waking meditation in the sunlight. I was transported, felt like I was transported into that particular zone. Very interesting, because something to me in that movie, obviously they were in space, and then they were on the elevator, the souls who had, the people who had died, they were on this escalator to this great white light. And it really made me think about Francis Cress Welsing, rest in peace. It did. I ain't gonna lie to you, because when I saw the bright light, it reminds me of Sirius, knowing as an astronomer that Sirius is the brightest light in all of the heavens. Okay. And so when I saw that bright light in space, immediately I'm gonna think that. But the reason I thought about her is because we're coming up on that time of her anniversary of her passing, where if you understand what's taking place around this time of year, the new year, and that event known as the Perihelion, when the Earth is passing in between Sirius and the sun at the same time. So if y'all can imagine that, like on a piece of paper, I always say put Sirius to the left, and then in the middle put the Earth, and then to the right of the Earth put the sun. And what's happening is the Earth is passing in between this gateway at this time, and it just so happens to be closest to the sun as well. Okay, so we're passing between Sirius and the Earth, and we're closest to the sun at this time. This astronomical event is known as the Perihelion. And again, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she made transition when the Earth was right in this particular pocket. And this is a woman who wrote a book called The Isis Papers, which we know Isis is nothing more than a form of a previous goddess named Sebdek, who is Sirius. And we know that in the Temple of Philae, the temple was erected to Isis in the star Sirius, and the big celebration with the cosmic goddess, feminine energy, and all that stuff was there. And it was just, amazing to see how she could, in essence, really channel that energy, be a personification of that energy, and then pass when the Earth was in particular alignment. So when I saw that in the movie, I could absolutely relate from experience, and then watching somebody pass at a particular gateway, which I just shared. But I was really impressed at that particular scene by the fact that his consciousness was still online after death, and he's like, no, I'm going back, homie. Y'all got me twisted. I am not going. I'm not going. Right. And then he started running backwards on the escalator. And so this is very interesting. I mean, when I'm about to tell you right here, and I shared it before, but if you haven't heard it before, you're going to have to do a little bit of due diligence and listen to this story. Go find it yourself. I'm going to tell you, because we're talking about really the evolution of consciousness itself. Okay, here's the story. because we're talking about in this particular point, the guy is running back on the escalator. He's conscious. He don't want to go into that light. Here's the human event to prove it. Her name is Anita Morjani, a woman who had tumors all over her body. Doctor, she's organs shutting down. Call your family, get them in here. She'd be dead, and this week she dying. It's a wrap. But she talks about her experience on the other side, and a choice, because consciousness is non-local. A choice was made to come back in, and share this story. Okay, and guess what happened? The tumor started to disappear and melt. No medicine, no meditation, none of that stuff. Pure D consciousness did it. Okay. And so I found that part to be, really factual, to be honest with you. And I'll pause right there.
Right. Peace to the chat. Peace, Ruby, Noble. I think Soul they had a lot of insightful moments throughout the entire movie, as Ruby pointed out. It was a little bit of something in there for everybody in relationship to where you may be on your particular journey through consciousness, if you're moving into elevated states of awareness or mindfulness, shall we say. But what I found interesting, the little Soul 22, right? For those that's into numerology and the numbers, that's like master builder, being able to, pull things down from the mental space and make it objectified in the physical world. But what I found interesting about Soul number 22, if you look at all of the people that they paired her with, she was paired with Mother Teresa, Carl Jung, Muhammad Ali, Stephen Dawkins, George Orwell, Carl Jung.
That's right.
She was paired with all of these teachers who were not only captivating figures, but had a sense of either mysticism or beyond the scope of, what we just consider to be, traditional logic. These people were brilliant people. And so what I took from that was that while you're, because, it's many ways to look at it. And so obviously it's a movie, so they're having to make it make sense according to, how movies, run from beginning to end. But what that represented to me was that if you really want to know how to navigate this earth plane, those are the type of minds, or that's the type of information that will fill you in the fullest, or fill you up the fullest in relationship to how to navigate down here. And, also how, I always talk about this on the calls with the members. I talk about the word weird, when Joe fell down in there and he came across these, what do they call themselves, the beer? I forget the term.
Who, Jerry and Terry?
The
Jerry.
On the little pink ship.
Oh yeah. These weirdos.
Yeah. What was their name, Ruby?
Mystics Without Borders.
Yeah.
Shamans and shit.
Yeah. He told him, he said, these weirdos
Right.
are the ones that's supposed to help me. And they was out there with their tamarines and chanting, and and that made me reflect on quantum physics, because I think his last name was Bell. I think they call it the Bell equalities. They named this particular experiment after Bell, who was attempting to solve once and for all the debate between Niels Bohr and Albert Einstein in relationship to how waves and entanglement actually work. And so prior to Bell, they didn't have an actual experiment to be able to verify. But the math was so brilliant and precise, and they didn't see any flaw in the math, that even before they had experiments to validate the theory of quantum physics, they were producing, the industry was producing devices based upon just the mathematics, and everything was working fine. So everything, your televisions, all these things are running off of these mathematical formulas. But Bell found a way to take the thought experiment and make it a physical thing where it could be measured. Now, how does this relate to the mystics or the hippies? Well, there was some hippies, I think they were out in California, who were into, now these were full-blown physicists too, though, right? So when you start studying this thing, what you start to come across is a lot of people who are in the field of Newtonian physics who are into spirituality.
All day.
You're gonna start to run into that quite a bit once you start to peel these layers back. Like Niels Bohr, I think one of his induction ceremonies, on one of his coats, he had the yin yang symbol on his jacket, right? What's some more people out here? I can't remember everybody right now, but maybe some more names will come to mind. But it was some physicist hippies who are reading books like the Dancing Woolly Masters, these books, or the Tao of Physics, these books where they were merging quantum mechanics with spiritual principles, because they were finding this sounds like some stuff in these holy books that we're seeing in these equations that totally go contrary to our perception of what reality really is. And so it was these hippie mystic physicists who went and got, they went into this laboratory where they were taking all of these old pieces of equipment that were no longer being used, and they started to put together the machinery in order to produce the experiment that would once and for all determine, is spooky action at a distance a real thing? And it turned out to be a very real thing. So it's just interesting that, those type of minds, or the quote unquote weirdos, keep popping up in key moments in history in relationship to unraveling this thing called consciousness, that is projecting us and moving us forward to get a higher understanding of the nature of reality. And so I'm always talking to people about the word weird. I encourage you to call me a weirdo, because when the definition of the word really means one who knows how to manifest their own reality or destiny, right? And so I just thought that was interesting how they kept pairing 22 with all of these great minds, and then further through the narrative and the storyline, we get down to these mystics who are able to be, in between two worlds. So I thought that was real interesting, man.
Yeah. I mean, fact about Cali, right? Cali is a known, that's Northern Cali gave you your marijuana. It was the biggest hippie culture in the world, and probably still is, right? For sure. And one of the mystics, where's that note at? Remember when it was like, I'm my body's here, but I'm in trance and Polywan. Somebody else like I'm in Tibet, right? And dude was like, yeah, I'm on 14th and 7th Ave, right? But what did the other one say? I'm a shamanic healer in Berkeley, which is California. You know what I'm saying? So facts, man. Even when we start getting into the for real, the mystic teachings of Master Farad Muhammad ain't got nothing to do with solely just the Nation of Islam. It comes through California. And then it don't even end with the Nation of Islam. It's only one person I saw in the chat the other day when we talked about it. He knew exactly where it was. And I just really want to see what people gravitate towards that. So I'm not telling on purpose because I want people to naturally get there. But it has everything to do with a hippie culture and some white dudes and dropouts out of top-notch universities that was into some high sciences and has said to be, and here's the thing, exists in a parallel reality that interfaces with this one. Now, here's the question, ladies and gentlemen, because we saw that through the movie Souls is coming into the physical 3D reality and whatnot. Listen, from our own experience, 2014 fall equinox, we are in New Orleans. We're hosting our own trip as we do. And we're, New Orleans take you on a ghost tour. That's what they do there. And taking pictures ourselves. And lo and behold, when we look at the pictures, there's a woman on a bike that's what you would call a ghost. She got on stonewashed jeans. There's another woman walking down Bourbon Street, and she has these red, I always say the Family Dollar cups. You get from Family Dollar. Two cups in her hand, like she partying like a good time on fucking Bourbon Street. And I'm telling you, that lady was not there. It was a ghost that's partying in New Orleans right now. That's what they do there. Okay. And so we're going to have these type of conversations, because how do you just ignore that? All right. But go ahead, Ruby.
I was following you there with the spirit activity, and what came to mind was this is why we have to be careful about always running to commune with ancestors and being indiscriminate in the way that we're engaging with the spirit world, because as that woman showed you, she in the spirit world, but she double fisting. She's still drinking, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They have their own energy when they're in that state of limbo, and which is, that holding pattern. They can still carry their own signatures and things like that with their own agenda. But man, when you started talking about 22, Jew, I saw this from so many different perspectives, y'all. I saw it from clinical psych perspective, looking at the structure, building out the personality and how we come in with a blueprint. You know what I mean? And then we get down here and we start playing on this plane, and then we get imprinted, which further, gives us our personality structures and gives us our, conditioning and things like that. And I was looking at 22 and I was like, you know what? Having worked with a lot of autistic children, I was like, she got some autistic traits, on the more intense end of the spectrum. What I've experienced energetically is they don't necessarily want to be here, which was interesting to me, because I think when you reach a certain level of spiritual understanding, you realize that it was a choice to come here. Like this was not a burdensome thing. This is something we chose to do because we needed to explore our creative ability. But with a lot of the autistic children I worked with, and looking at 22, she didn't want to have shit to do with it. You know what I mean? She was comfortable where she was. She didn't want to come down to this plane. And when we looked at, you know, when I work with autistic children, that's the vibe that I get, that they don't really want to be here. They operate in that in-between state, in the gap. And that's why they have these sort of fixations and things like that. And when she got down into the body with someone who was like open in their senses, she was able to lock in on some things that, you know, made her actually want to live and exist, you know, actually live life. And so that was intriguing to me about 22. But to be honest with y'all, the most, I think, impactful thing for me was looking at the imagery of the actual film and looking at how these artists took these concepts and rendered them into something coherent, beautiful, and I think, from my experiences, quite accurate. And it brought to mind for me how, and his whole thing was his state of bliss. You were talking about Bliss Noble, was when he was in the zone on his piano. And we later found out that your spark or your talent or gift or what lights you up isn't necessarily your purpose. That's a whole nother conversation. You know, and so looking at that, these artists, I want to show you guys some imagery if you don't mind. These artists who rendered this film had a process. And when I started looking at the images, it reminded me of some way out experiences that I've had that I was just going to kind of share. Noble, you were talking about the spirits in Louisiana sort of validating, and the alignment with Francis Cress and the Gateway and stuff like that, sort of validating what the movie was showing. So I kind of wanted to show a little bit of validation myself of some experiences that I had.
All day. You want to do a screen share?
Yeah.
Go ahead, take that right there.
All right.
Did you get it?
I don't know, was I supposed to? Okay, here we go.
Okay, we got you.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I always talk about is a creative structure. And so that's why I was so attracted to the way that they created this. And not only this film, Pixar does some amazing work, as Ju always points out about Inside Out and even Up, that explores relationships. I don't know if you guys have seen Up, but being in a creative structure is what struck me the most about this movie. And that's sort of the way that I'm evaluating reality these days. Is I'm not trying to solve problems. I'm trying to just create, you know. And my homie here says, you know, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. You change it by building a new model so that the current reality becomes obsolete. And so that got me into looking at the people who are actually creating these films and what they're tapped into in their flow state and what they're actually rendering for us to actually see, because this is triggering, I think, for us in our consciousness and helps us to come into states of remembrance. And so if you can see this sister right here, she works for Pixar and she started rendering like the first sketches. Can you see it? Is it big enough?
I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got the sister here, she's with the metal, conceptualizing it in terms of lines. When they thought about Jerry the counselor, who was like the dopest quantum aspect of it, Ju, this is the way they basically channeled to render it. And it made me think about my experiences on other planes with like the structures of our reality, light, you know, spheres, lines, and shapes. And so that really took me somewhere, you guys. Like, it made me get so excited about our creative ability, not just to render beautiful things in an artful way, but to actually structure what we're experiencing in this reality. And so when I looked at this sister right here, you already see where she is.
Yeah.
Got her matrix coding. So you know that the people who are bringing these works to us are tapped in. You know, they're tapped in. And so that was so inspiring to me. And when I looked at this is how it evolved, because you know, it didn't start off as what we saw, what we see here. This is the final rendering. It had a evolution and a process. And so these are like the early sketches. Let me come up out of this so y'all can see. Should I go in the slideshow? So it's
yeah,
good?
yeah, you can go slide. Oh yeah.
I can't never access it because it's up here. Okay. Uh-oh. So this is where it started. Uh-oh. I went too far. This is how it started. You know, this is like the progression of it. And this right here just lit me up. It triggered me so much because I've had these experiences when I started actually in my art program, we had to do sacred geometry. Okay. And so I literally have my sketchbook here where we had to draw these structures with our rulers and our compass and our thing and things like that. And it started pushing me into having these experiences. And so I remember, I don't know if it was a lucid dream state, y'all, or if it was more of astral travel. I don't know. But I was in this place where it was just geometric structures of light. It was like shelves of geometric structures of light. And so I'm just looking at all these things. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was being communicated to me at that time. But I just knew it was just so captivating and it felt very comfortable for me. You know, and so then this is a picture of my daughter, Noble, where she was actually reaching for some sort of light being right here. You see it?
Yeah.
This is when it started like.
I see the Tinkerbell.
Yeah, so cute. And so it just started opening me up to the structure of our reality and us being like, you know, the builders of it on other dimensions, obviously. So this is what was really getting me about this whole process. These artists pulled this, they pulled this information and it flows through them using their gifts and talents. This is where it started off and this is where it ended. You know what I mean? The way they rendered him in the movie. And so it wasn't until years later that I started understanding, you know, why the geometry was basically courting me. It was like, you know, giving me information. And I found this cat right here, y'all. And I'm not one who just endorses anybody and into all this new agey stuff, but I found this on Gaia and he was actually talking about how we constructed reality with the geometries. And that's what I saw in the movie. And that's what captivated me the most, that we have such creative potential in that we are literally the builders of this playground down here. And that if we tap into these codes and get our ability to harness the light and ground it into this plane, we just, our potential is so limitless. And so that's what captivated me the most. I got some other stuff on here, but I'll rest there. Let me get off of this.
Yeah, that was dope, man. You know, it made me think about y'all the 22 to give you something practical. For me, the way I understood it was 22 is a code that dealt with your base amino acids in the body, which are supposed to be the things that get you the protein, which is the blueprint that sustains you, right? So something practical, and this is not medical advice whatsoever, is what could we do if that be the case? You can Google it, look it up, and see that we got 22 base amino acids. What can we do to strengthen that portion of us? And then this is why I love really I will have to figure out what slide I had it on, but again, the 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, every time we got in it, when I teach the class portion of it, was these cats were dealing with cosmic sounds, frequencies, which sound in itself starts to create because it's vibrating, which you just saw Ruby show you the waves. It's creating certain wave structures and whatnot. And so how can we utilize sound? Because the whole thing is what? Homie's playing the piano, sound. How can we utilize sound to activate DNA structure, amino acid, protein-based structures to awaken? You see what I'm saying? And I guess we kind of got an answer to that, and we'll get into that a little later and whatnot. But look into that if you never heard of that. Dark light consciousness, right? Yeah, look into that if you never heard of it, the 22 base amino acids in your body. Go ahead, Ju.
Ruby touched on some very profound things in relationship to shapes. So I just wanted to give people a reference. This is by Edward Bruce Bynum, PhD. Mm-hmm. This is a brother. I've had this book for many years. And in this book, he talks about different shapes, all right, that when focused on actually become vehicles for you to travel in and through when you're on those journeys, on those higher planes of existence. And this is not like I want to be clear. Like if you purchase this book, you read this, like this book got, let me show you. Let me see. Like you see these images in here? He not playing no hocus pocus. It ain't that. It ain't nothing but straight science all the way through this joint. Right? Trying to see. Where's the piece at, Joe? Right? Let me see if I can find one. Like he's getting into postures, different poses, mm-hmm. Right? He's getting into the you know, I want to really find one though. It's been a minute, but Ruby, when she said that, man, like you see this, these shapes, he's going into all these different shapes, but the tool that he uses is visualization to get you to build and then break down the shape so that you can become a master at putting the vehicle together. Because if you can break it down and put it back together, that means you know the vehicle very well. Mm-hmm. So I just thought I'd share that because Ruby brought up a very great point in relationship to those different shapes. Go ahead, Noble.
No, behind your head, man. Who was that female on the Mount Rushmore?
Oh, right there.
Yeah, who that female?
That's Dr. Jewel Pukra.
Yeah, and the second one from the right, y'all. I mean, yeah, second one from the left when you're looking at it. And so shout out, and I said that to say when you're talking about shapes and structures, you got to go back and salute to Dr. Jewel Pukram, who was giving you ways on how to balance the brain via studying shapes. Certain shapes you was given that you had to literally sit there and study so your brain can become balanced, man. So yeah, I'm with y'all.
You know, and it was some other small stuff, but it was still, matter of fact, since we talking about music though, right? What is it? The 7 liberal arts?
Oh yeah, 7 liberal arts and sciences. If you want to go through the Western mystery schools, yeah, 7 liberal arts and sciences.
Music is like
number 6. It's the 6th step, bro.
It's right before you get to the heavens in astronomy.
That's right.
So, you know, I've had some of my most inner revealing moments listening. It's certain records, and it's always guitar strings for Jew. It may be another instrument for other people, but like, you know, they got healing therapy treatments in hospitals where they had people come and play harps. People come and pluck strings on harps that send out a vibe and interacts with a person's atomic form. Like they've got case studies where these people are playing these harps And all kind of things are changing in people. Anxiety levels going down, blood pressure levels going down. All of these different things are happening simply from the sound of a harp playing and impacting these people's biology, right? So I remember when, this might have been a year or two ago, I had created something called a quantum incubator, where over the last 10 days, I would have people take the songs that make you feel good. Because see, here's the thing about music too. Everybody got a different flow, right? So it's not like, with music, it's not like it's almost like, soul said, like everybody has a different disposition to how they are orchestrated as their own person or being. So some people may like jazz, other people may like rock and roll, some people may like hip hop or whatever it is. That, it's totally up to you as the individual. But I used to tell people, look, whatever record makes you feel good when you listen to it, find the instrumental for that and start to do your visual work coupled with that music. Because see, the music is going to induce a mood. And if the mood that you are attracted to, right, through that sound is one that elevates you emotionally to a state of bliss, joy, happiness, adrenaline, right? Then once you start to couple that with the visual work, it should render a better experience for you in relationship to what the feedback that you get. So I remember going through scripture, and the Lord told King David to build some instruments. First time that they introduced instruments in worship in scripture. He told him, build some instruments and play some music for me, right? And they said that David was doing that in order to bring in the Ark of the Covenant, or they were using the Ark of the Covenant in some way in relationship to the instruments that they were using, to either retrieve it or to do something special with the Ark of the Covenant. But what was interesting when I actually looked at the translation for the Ark of the Covenant, particularly the word covenant, when you look at the root of the word, it actually means to manifest. To manifest, right? So then when you look at some of the different stories where the ark was, centerpiece to the story, right? Joshua used it to go around the walls of Jericho. They took the ark out on the battlefield to defeat their foes. And this was before, I remember having this conversation with Noble many years ago. This was back when we was doing like Exodus Decoded. This, I don't know, this might have been 7 years ago. And I said, oh man, they talking about the ark is really representation of the mind, or what's going on inside of your brain in relationship to how you make matter move, right? So in that story where they're referencing the ark and having to build instruments and music, and then we see that the ark of the covenant at the base of it is talking about manifesting or calling something forth, right? Think about music. Doesn't music do the same thing to you? You could be removed from a situation 10 or 20 years, and a song comes on that was in that pocket of time where you were either going through a moment of trial or you were in a happy place, and you immediately are pulled back to that moment, and that feeling can fluster up as if you're back 20 years ago. You hear people say it all the time. Man, that album right there got me through a rough spot in life, Jew. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's something about music that is very, very close to the soul, right? And so I think I'm gonna let Noble touch on this. You know, this whole thing. What was this whole thing with Moonwind, the beer, and what was the other one? What did dude say? You gotta wait till something comes into the Gemini.
Hey man, it's a whole nother science, man. Yeah, Moonwind Star Dancer was his name. Then you had Wind Star, Dreamer Moon, Dance Star, Wind Moon, Dreamer, Wind, Dreamer. It was weird. Yeah, you had to wait till Orcus gets in the house of Gemini. Orcus is a pretty much in the theology was a god of the underworld, kind of sort of similar to Pluto, in a sense. And you know, ladies and gents, when they talked about a thin spot, you know, I'm not gonna get into why they chose Jimmy, because that is strictly some priesthood shit for real. I'll tell you this, as noted in the Bible, as you pointed out before in private conversation, which we know is there, Castor and Pollux are in the Bible. You ask yourself why. These are the two head stars. These are the twins, Castor and Pollux. Okay. And today I was looking at something on National Geographic. It's this city, this ancient city, look just like Washington, D.C. Forget the name of it. It's very new to me. I'll find it in a second. Very new to me, but in their temple, they had Castor and I'm looking for it right now. What's the name of this damn city? It's like right there, not too far from Egypt. You cross over to the Mediterranean, not the Mediterranean. You cross over the Jordan River. But it'll come to me. I'll find it. But they got it's called Petra, Petra. Okay, Google image this city. Dope. I was like, never seen this before. Some ancient civilization stuff. But they had Castor and Pollux on top of the building as well. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I tell you like this. I never forget when I interviewed, what's my man name? He out of Arizona. He got a book called Forensic Astrology. The police, homie so cold, the police used to come get him and tap him like, yo, pull up the charts. Who did it? Straight up. All right. And when we interviewed him, it's like, man, who the craziest signs of them all, man? Who you got? He's like, oh, by far, Gemini. They out their goddamn mind, right? By far, right? It's a reason why dude said wait till Orcus get in the third house, okay? Now, it's something I'm going to digress a little bit, but stay on top of within that lane, because it's something that's important here that we got to really understand. Yes, consciousness is the ultimate, because everything is consciousness anyway. There are certain things that just happen in season, and there's certain things that's out of season. And very rarely do you get a Christ that can make something grow out of season. Okay. I'm saying that to say that these frequencies known as zodiac houses and signs, they have a certain channel to them. And for them to tap in to get into that soul plane, he had to wait for that right combination to happen. Does this mean that you cannot do something? It does not mean that just because it's not there for you. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is when that channel opens up and is congruent to what you're doing, it should make it much easier. That's the whole point of what I'm going to say about that right there. Okay. Because that whole science and what they talking about, I was like, oh, now I don't have the proof, but I ain't lying. I went through a period of time when y'all saw me produce things on Twitter, and I would say, hey, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. Hey, Google, check this out. This is going to happen. Hey, Bill Gates. Hey, Tim Cook, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Microsoft. I was tagging the companies and the CEOs on Twitter, telling them about this algorithm and figuring some things out about these events. I sent 2 people at Pixar the whole entire packet. So when I actually saw something play out in the movie, which I'm not going to speak on, I was like, that's very interesting to see. Because I know that humanity has to progress. So sometimes I got to try to touch these different pockets and whatnot. let me come back off of it, man. Because there's something in here, and shout out to Saya Muhammad, who was on with us the other day. You know, she was talking about 22 and something that's important that we always talk about, especially Jew. You know, who you sharing. And you heard Ruby when Ruby came on the other day, she was like, I'm from the old order. I keep it right. Because 22 was a victim of negative talk from others, right? 22 was in a void because people didn't believe in 22. You know what I'm saying? So 22 end up taking on projections from other people as its own reality, and put 22 in a bad spot, man. Bad spot. That was vicious. You know what I'm saying? Because everything that kept being replayed was a sense of trauma. And I remember me and Jew had this conversation not too long ago, probably about 2 weeks ago, when we were talking about, you know, everybody got it. What did your mama say to you or your daddy said to you? I got both of their ass pegged. At some point in time, they probably said something to you that stuck with you. You know what I'm saying? I remember my dad, you ain't gonna be the next Michael Jordan. I remember that. For some reason that sticks. And I can remember what my mom said. That got me a little sensitive. I'm like about to be in 3rd grade. You know what I mean? When she said something, you know what I mean? These things stick with you. And so I'm saying that to say, it's important for us to be able to get into that subconscious of ours and be able to successfully release these programs that may be running that will have you in it'll have you stuck. Because remember, Ruby, the sweet spot also had lost souls. The zone had lost souls there. That's what 22 was in the zone. So they said what they say. They said something like, let me get the note. I don't want to misquote it here. Hold on.
Correct.
They said something about, hold on, where did that note at? Here we go. Hold on. All right. When joy becomes an obsession, one becomes disconnected from life. That's interesting. And then another one was, lost souls are obsessed by something that disconnect them from life. Now, here's the kicker. The overall movie was really rooted in Eastern philosophy. The whole thing, like Ruby said earlier, about your mission or your spark may not be your mission. And then they're telling you, you know, what did Jerry say? Jerry says something about meanings are not assigned. Oh, you mentors, your purposes, your meanings of life. So basic. That's exactly what she said. Right? They sitting up here thinking about my spark. What about my spark? That's my mission in life. Meanings are not assigned. Oh, you mentors, your purposes, your meanings of life. So basic. You missed the point. You know what the whole point is? The whole point was to get you to appreciate life. That's why they said something about the spark is not the purpose. The box got filled in when you was ready to live. So they're trying to get you to a point of gratitude and appreciation. And like I told Ruby, I said, you know, this thing is an upside down V. Life, okay, is an upside down V. All right. And what I mean by that is, or you can't see it because of the green screen thingy, but you can't see it because of the green screen. But it's like, it's really a capital A. Okay. If you take a capital A and then draw that line across, this is what it is. We started from the bottom. Now we here. If we starting from the bottom, and then when we go up, the top is your goal, your spark, could be your obsession in a sense, right? Your greatness. But then you know what happens after you get there? You decline. And that's just the natural rhythm of life. You're a little baby, you grow, you get to your prime, and then after that, you start to shrink and you decline. It's just a natural progression of life. So what they're getting at is, hey, don't become obsessed by the thing. Learn how to appreciate the entire wave of the ride and not just the apex, the top of the roller coaster, where the joy is before you drop down. Okay. So that's what they're getting at here. All right. But again, you got to find, and that was like, that's dope, because you got to find that delicate balance, because there's a school of thought, and I definitely rock with it with Grant, be obsessed or be average, because if you're not obsessed about your thing, then you're gonna be an average Joe. And if you want to be an average Joe, that's cool. I ain't got no problem with it. Some of us, see, this is the thing. Because remember back on that board that you was talking about, when you saw all the mentors, Martin Luther King, Aretha Franklin, you saw Stephen Hawking, you just saw a lot of great people, Mother Teresa, you saw the greats, right? The reason that was there is because those people were deemed mentors because they put a dent in the world. They stamped the world. And some people are just going to be great normal people and be great moral people and do their thing. I'm not one of those normal people. I know I'm not. All right. And so for me, I have to have a level of obsession to get to the desired goal. But I totally understand that philosophy of non-attachment. I've actually went through that school first, called spirituality and non-attachment and light body classes and things of that nature. I went the spiritual route first before I came back and started tackling the physical aspect of it. I had to get balanced in that first. That was my particular journey. Okay. And so, when you see that part in the movie, balance that out. All right. That's my little spill on that. Go ahead, Ruby. What you got?
Yeah, man. So rich. The flow state, I read that actually almost didn't make the cut for them to include that, which was so astonishing to me because it was like one of the dopest aspects of it, and it was intriguing to me that, you can't stay there. You know what I mean? Because when you stay there, that's when the obsession comes in, Noble. Mm-hmm. And when you stay there, you don't ground it in reality. And this is why I appreciated his mother, because she was actually in her art form and in her craft. She was a seamstress, but what she did was she did what she loved, but she found a way to ground it in reality and put some structure and systems with it to actually fulfill the mastership of this realm, which is to be able to take our aspects in those other dimensions and bring them down here to something real physical, to get down in the body and to be able to do both, And you spoke about, the subconscious imprinting. Basically from ages 0 to 7, you were talking about how 22 was just a victim of all of the projection and the negative talk. She internalized that she was in a bad spot. And we got to understand that from ages 0 to 7, our brain is in theta, which means we're just absorbing and taking on everything. And this is the period where our identity is basically solidified by other people, our parents, whoever's in our environment. This is the shit that we got to recode. This is the stuff that we have to work through. This is when we were our most receptive in that theta state. And we just took on whatever everybody told us. Obviously we had our blueprinting that the movie highlights as well. I thought it was so funny how they just threw them. Hey, you're going to be an introvert. Yo, you're going to be a megalomaniac. You're going to be a narcissist. You're going to be aloof. It was so playful. And it reminded me of this teaching that I've seen consistently across, different spiritual paths, is that this is all for play, delight, experimentation, creativity. That's why we're here. And that's why your spark is not your purpose. Your spark is what you love. You dig it. You get in the flow. You get to experience these altered states. But your purpose is to be here and to create and to live. And it was when 22 was sitting under the tree and the seed came down and she felt the wind and eating the pizza and, all of these sensorial experiences that made her say, wow, I don't know what my purpose is. Shit, I don't know what my spark is, but I want to live. And Noble, you were highlighting this thing that I have a slide here where they were talking about that dialogue between, Jerry and Joe, your spark versus your purpose. Joe, when they was going to give him another chance to go back down to earth. And he was like, yo, we never found out what 22's purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry was like, yo, what you talking about? Purpose. You know, her spark, you know, her purpose. Was it music, biology? What was it?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, we
Walking.
don't
Yeah.
assign purposes. That's y'all shit. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? Like, that's so low level.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
that's so low level.
So
Like,
basic.
the
Yeah.
purpose is to be here and live. And so, one of the things that makes it enjoyable for us to be down here is to be in our creative structure, doing the shit that we love, tapping into what lights us up, you know. And I was interested in knowing more about you know, you and Ju's flow state and what it's like for you guys when you're putting together a presentation or you're some
Oh.
information comes together and
Oh.
you like, yo, you in that state of flow and in the zone with, you know, your craft,
Right.
what you're doing.
Right. Jill, I'm gonna let you answer that, but hold on. We answer that, and then also give us some contrast to. You got a point on his mama, but his hating ass mama, Jill. You know, give us some contrast to his hating ass mama,
Okay.
and how a prophet ain't respected in his own house. Make that parallel to the
Okay.
scripture,
All right.
and then answer Ruby's question on his own.
Okay. Well, I answered the question on the zone first. That was the most recent statement, or question rather. When I'm in that place, and I know Noble know this, I call him and I be like, nigga.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Like that be my opening line. I'd be like, nigga, you ain't gonna believe this, nigga. I was like, I be in it, Ruby. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I can't really explain it, man. It's the weirdest. It's just who you are. I can't even really give you words to describe that feeling when you're in that moment. It's almost like data is just pouring into you, and you're finishing ideas to things without even fully comprehending the data. Like, I mean, that's the best way that I can kind of explain it. But my when I know I'm there, that's my. I pick up the phone. I be like, right. So that's that. But as far as the contrast to the mom, so no, you mentioned something interesting. You said that 22 kept getting these downers, right? Mm-hmm. From all of these people around her, right? All of these mentors that were supposed to be teaching her prior to her trying to get down to earth. And so his mother, she represented that same type of entanglement. See, 22 and Joe were in a entanglement. And it's funny how they played on them coming, like everything was together, right? They came down together. When she finally got her, you know, her pass to go, he guided her so far as he can go. They were together. But they had him come down into the cat, and that was the play on the Schrodinger's cat, because they were dealing with quantum principles.
Right.
So that was a play on Schrodinger's cat and superposition and entanglement. So they decided to drop him off down in the cat. But anyways, so the mom, and remember what they said in the movie, and it was around the part where they were seeing the guy who was playing the music down in the subway. You remember?
Yeah.
One of them, they was, you know,
love. He was thinking about love or something.
Yeah. And one of the characters said something like, it seemed like you always get so close to your dream and then something happens. Right? And so in other words, what they were saying is somehow, some way, an interference pattern erupts. Right? And so his mom kept telling him, no, that's not it. No, you're going to have to do something else. Now, he had been holding inside all that time right? Over all these years where his mother was telling, he had been holding that in, right? But it came a moment where he had to address it. Now, the way that they chose to address it, there's many ways to, skin a cat, right? But he chose to address it, face to face and in person, right? Which is also interesting because, when you pay the dichotomy of the psychology there, it wasn't really even him. You know what I mean? It was 22's consciousness, right? So in a lot of ways that expresses, sometimes we are afraid to face it ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? Intrinsically. But the moment that he expressed himself through 22 to his mother, and he did what? He drew a parallel of how can I put it? Something that she can identify with emotionally, right? The moment that he brought his father into the conversation is when her eyes and her mind opened and she realized this is his dream, right? And then she got busy. Well, we got to get you together. And then she came to the show, da 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 da. And like Noble said, after that is when he realized when he reached the climax, and he was like, "Oh, that's it."
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was, but that's it. So, a lot of times, what that showed me too, as Noble mentioned, is many passages in Scripture, right, where Christ consciousness has said, "Hey, look, they brought his mama and his brothers and sisters and said, look, man, you just a regular old dude. You run around talking about you the Christ, you the son of God. There go your mama and them right there." Man, that dude came out and said, "That ain't my mama. My mother and family are the ones who rocking with this state of being." So a lot of times what you'll learn is it be the people closest to you who are acting and running the interference patterns.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Somebody in the chat saying it. That's my mama. They said it.
And also, what to add on context to what Ruby said earlier about choosing on how you attach yourself to, the ancestor thing. And I never forget, I was watching the videos many years ago. Bobby Hemmett said, "You think just because somebody passed away from this plane of existence that all of a sudden they Gandhi?"
Yeah.
Or the Dalai Lama?
Yeah.
He said, "No, that's still your drunk ass uncle."
Right.
Wherever he's at the same, it's almost like people think when you transition here, all of a sudden you get this
superpower.
Yeah, this super reset of right? But clearly, like Anpu said, listen, we got the pictures. Sister girl still walking around with 2 cups. Toast up with the game, right?
Yeah.
And so the deal is which is why I thought it was very interesting that they chose those elevated states of awareness to be mentors to 22, to say, hey, if you're going to tap into any thought form, try these.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I mean, there was a bunch of other stuff in there too, man. Like, when we talk about role playing, right? The members know this. We talk about this, the science of role playing. Like when you get into the studies of it, they tell you that role playing and coaching are the top two methodologies for a person to be able to acquire a skill, right? And so what happened? Remember the young girl who was playing the trombone? She was ready to quit. She came knocking at the coach door. And then the coach had to do what? Give her some feedback, right? To assure her that she was still traveling her path, right? And then, you know, they also showed in there like the, you know, what did 22 say when they went to the barbershop, Ruby? She sat down in the chair to get the cut, and that's something else too. Listen, all you weirdos out there, all my weirdos. Don't be afraid to talk your shit. Don't think that nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Because see, they were sitting in that barbershop and all this, you know, the previous talk was just typical conversation. 22 started going in on this super dimensional quantized state. And what happened? Everybody in the barbershop stopped everything they were doing and was agreeing and egging her on to keep talking.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these are the conversations we really want to have, but we just didn't know there was anybody around us who might be tuned into that to be able to give us some feedback as to what's the what. And so y'all got to pick up y'all mantles and roll out. But in relationship to the role playing, what did 22 say in the barbershop chair? She said, wow, it's something about me just sitting here that just makes me want to just say everything. Right? So the moment she sat in that chair, she took on the state of what happens in the barbershop. So I thought that was very, very interesting, and a point that needs to be highly broadcasted is that you have to put yourself in that state of being, and then you will replicate that state. Right? Well, she had to go physically sit down, be in the barbershop, you know. So you got to do, this is what I call quantum field trips. You got to take yourself to places that mirror the things you want to experience. Because you're reminding yourself, you're putting yourself in a position mentally that I belong here. So when Ruby was dropping them 34s and them 18s on Duke, you know what that did? I belong here. But as she said, it's not until you get in that environment where your expectation level rises. So I thought that was a highly teachable moment, man, in the movie.
Yeah, for sure. All day. Go ahead, Ruby. When you get a chance to, Ruby, make me host. I'm gonna show y'all those pictures from New Orleans. I pulled it up. Go ahead, Ruby.
Oh, look at that. More? No.
You know, and you know what's interesting too is the relationship was about. This is something to think about for us, for us that love soulmates, because I love the topic of soulmates. It was a mentor soulmate relationship. It wasn't about soulmates and soulmates, ladies and gentlemen. It was about a mentor soulmate relationship. And that makes you think about some shit here. All right. I'm gonna show y'all something real fast. So when we talked about New Orleans and Juice said the lady got 2 cups, come on, man, we gotta talk about this. This comes from our camera when we were in New Orleans on our spiritual pilgrimage that we do on these equinoxes and solstice. You can see straight through her head.
Straight through.
All right. We show you what a ghost lady at on the ghost bike. That's my joint. What a ghost bike? Ghost bike got to be somewhere. Oh, here she go. Ghost number 2. Boom. Stop playing, man. She got on stonewashed jeans with a garbage bag and her bike on the basket. Stop
Yeah,
playing
something's
around.
definitely in the basket.
Yeah. Stop playing around. Them homeboy did the Run DMC, no head. What?
Yeah, you see the arms folded right
You
here.
see, you can see his fingers. Like homeboy on his Run DMC joint. This New Orleans. This is what happens in New Orleans. Now I got a theory. And it ain't far fetched. They're gonna materialize again. Get the energy right, they're gonna materialize again. But see, we got real life experiences with this thing. If I'll show you my daughter, they go two heads in the picture because we all know my story. I got a daughter that's twin. She's a twin, and her twin is on the other side of the veil. And you see two faces right here, and in them two faces, you can't see the teeth like you can see in these. And then when she was older, she straight up washing dishes, and her head didn't show up.
Whole head disappeared.
Whole head gone while she washing dishes. Gone. You know what I mean? So we physically have these experiences to pretty much validate, this kind of conversation, man. You know what I mean? This is my first mentor and teacher in the Nation of Islam who became, he doing certain chants, vibration, sound, and he's starting to pretty much get ghosts, and when he was by the water on the river, you can see a bright light that the camera caught right there doing this thing. You feel me? So this stuff is it's really real like that. All right. Go ahead, Ruby. You want to add on? I think I had one more thing. And then we can go to a Q&A. But go ahead.
I am. Thanks, Ju, for answering about your experience in the flow state, in a state of receptivity.
Yeah.
And this doesn't mean that we out here ungrounded and just like an open vessel for anything. I think it's important to not only be grounded, but make sure that the channel that you have open is really just to your greater aspect. It's not just haphazardly open for any old thing. And with that flow state and being in the zone, this is, I feel like the reason why this is important is because that, we, again, we have to get into a creative structure. Ju, what we do in the membership is we are crafting, conjuring, and creating the conditions and the reality that we want. But basically, at least for me, it's like even looking past the current reality and keeping, the vision locked and the feeling locked and the speech locked on what you are creating. And so the flow state and being in the zone becomes important because, again, this is how we build momentum. This is how we build momentum. And so this is how we start creating things that are in alignment with what we want versus, just perpetuating what we already have or, situations that we want to evolve out of. And so when I start looking at the flow state, I start looking at, okay, well, what brainwave state is that? And then how can I hack that? Or, embody it and integrate it into my routine so that I can leverage the flow state and be in a creative state longer, have insights and ideas of how to use my gifts, talents, and interests in bettering my life, putting me in a better station. I know y'all say his mama was hating, but what we saw in the zone is that there's a level of disconnection there. And her frustration, even with her husband who had passed and his father, is that he didn't necessarily ground the dream in a system and in a structure that would provide, that
Right.
would master both polarities of why we're here. Not just to be dreamy and creative, but to make it materialize into something that can sustain us on this plane. And so looking at the theta state being the state, of flow and, just looking at ways that we can leverage that. And what I found is that, you know, a way to hack, there's actually some things that you can, some strategies that you can utilize to induce the flow state more readily. You know what I mean? And I actually, if anybody's interested, I have like a little free PDF about strategic things that you can do to enhance your occurrence of the flow state. First of all, get acquainted with it, know how to get into it and have it, and, you know, sustain it longer so that you can start building momentum and creating things that will provide the circumstance to have what you desire. So if you're interested in that, you can text me at 404-737-2717, and I'll also drop it in the chat. I think it's very important to have resources and tools to not just obviously talk about these things, but leverage them. So, yeah. Noble, you didn't answer what your flow state, your zone.
The flow, man. You know, mine's is, you know, it's always if it's a correspondence to it. Like Jews is nigga, right? So our flow state is nigga. So mine's is more of a serious tone. It's nigga. Hey, it's that, you know what I'm saying? So his is nigga. I'll be like, nigga. Hey, you know what I mean? Listen, man. So we go there. You know what I mean? You know, how to get there, man. You know, this thing is beautiful. You know what I mean? In the sense where, you know, it's I always say, man, listen to your higher self and honor that, right? Because what tells you, hey, man, go study Habakkuk 2. What is that? And then what tells you to say, hey, man, won't you go look at the word covenant? Go look that up in Strong's real fast, bro. Yeah. And he'd be like, oh, shit, man, I mean manifestation. Like, what is telling you to do that, right? So when you honor that, that's the key, right? You honor that. Now, I love what Ruby just said, what y'all dealing with momentum, because, and that's literally a title that we're working on, something called The Magic of Momentum. But here's the game, man. Man, you gotta go do something. You gotta tag. This thing is tag. Like, right. So for example, today, they hit me up. I got the HUD in the email right now. It's a done deal. Ain't nothing you can't stop it. You can't stop me anyway. But your boy about to check almost 40,000 out tomorrow. Send the wire, like DJ Khaled say, right? So, bag alert, nigga. All right. 40 G's about to hit the account. So what you do? Tag somebody, like y'all be doing on Facebook, but that's that bullshit. Tag, gotta call somebody that's up on that vibe. Yo, check this out. Check these numbers out. It look good. So you see how it's flowing? Yep. Oh, yeah, yep. Bam. So now it's this back and forth. We just created a crest wave, meaning we going together. You see what I'm saying? So you need to tag someone who you can share this information with. This is why you're like, man, I'm glad I had somebody to talk to, right? So you got to put somebody that you got to tag somebody that's on that same frequency with you and whatnot. And you can't kill it by you got the good news, but now you about to go chill. What? No, it's a portal just opened up for you. So actually, when that's open, this is the time to go send out an email blast or do a communication or promotion, or go ahead and say, you know what? I'm about to go ahead and order these postcards for the next round of houses that I want to go get, because I just got some good news that came in from the business. So now I got to send an outbound signal so I can create a loop of more inbound things to come in. See, this 6-digit, 7-digit talk that I'm telling you. Seriously. Got it. I'm telling you. This is the behind the scene practice that we do. You know what I mean? So the magic of momentum, man. If you got, man, listen, I'm crazy. You know, call me weird. Shit, don't be my woman and you around me. I'm grabbing your ass, and goddamn it, 40 G's about to come. Shit, baby, we can close the door. Let's go. Right? That's what that's supposed to be like, though. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta ride this way, man. Seriously, man. Shit. All right. Sorry, Ruby, but that's the zone. Okay. So,
hey, I want to add. Look, it was some other key things, man. You know, hey, Ruby, they asking for your number again too in the chat.
Okay, let me drop it in. Thank you.
Remember when the dude who was we had the record keeper, like Amos in the scripture.
Oh, Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was serious business.
Oh, Terry was serious.
Serious as mug, right? And but notice when he came down into the physical world, he came in on a wave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Remember, he came in through the boop, boop, boop. And then he dropped on down into the physical world, man. Hold on, I gotta plug this joint up. But saying all that to say, like, the key to this whole quantum thing is learning how to tune in into the wave. Right? Because they showed you in the joint that what can happen. You can alter some things from the side of the wave to have an impact on the particle side of reality. If you want to talk about that, son Noble, how she threw a dart at the basketball player, and he missed the dunk, right?
Yeah, man.
She was like, I've been messing with them for years.
For 10 years, a decade. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And so, I was reading a study where it was a doctor at Yale University in the 40s, where he was studying magnetic fields on different eggs, like, reptile eggs, all these different eggs. And what he found out was that he progressed his study to the point where he started to find out that he went from eggs of reptilians and other species and birds and stuff to mice, and then he moved on to the human body. But when he got to the mice and the mouse, what he found out was they took these mouses that had like 90% rate to have cancer. And what he found out was that the magnetic fields around the mouse would take on the same pattern as the cancer once it hit the physical body or the organs. So what am I saying here? Whatever we're experiencing is happening first in the magnetic fields around us. Mm-hmm. Then it is making a transition from the field around us into the body. Right? So when I saw, showing how things from the outside, or magnetism, right? Electromagnetism, this quantum field, you can have an effect from that place where it's now impacting a physical experience. Then for all of the naysayers of the law of attraction, you got some questions to answer. Because we see that things can be impacted, physical things can be impacted first by magnetic fields. And we know that the mind can alter these fields because they take these trained meditators and healers of such, and they tell them, we want you to visualize DNA unraveling, right? And we want you to have an elevated feeling like joy, happiness, and 20% of the DNA strand in the vial actually unravels. Mm-hmm. So we can't ignore that. We can't ignore mentalism impacting the physical world. And to tie it down, like Anpu and Ruby's been saying, to make it practical, where we ground it, whenever we do the visual work, and then we couple that with an exercise that's similar to the visual work that we're doing, literally and physically, the production and the results are even greater. So it was a great movie, man. It was a dope flick. Me and Anpu was talking earlier. I'm still putting it behind Inside Out.
Oh, that's all. That was the
is a
dope.
classic.
Sorry.
Classic.
It's the dope.
This one was dope. If I had to just rate it, I would say maybe like an 8 out of 10. But Inside Out, 10 out of 10.
That's a 10.
10.
That's a 10.
It's a 10.
That's a 10, man. For real.
But it was a dope flick. Dope flick. Anybody who haven't watched it, hopefully didn't spoil it too much, but maybe when you go look at it now, your eyes will be open to be able to catch some things, and you may be able to add on to what you see from that point, from the information that you may already have.
Yeah. So, facts, man. Hey, Ruby, are you dropping your number in there?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's kind of picking up as spam because I don't see it either. What is it? Let me type it from mine. Go ahead. What is it?
404. 737. 2717. I
wonder if it'll let me do it from this one. I see it in the chat. All right, y'all. So her number should be in the chat. 404-737-2717. Man, Ruby said something about the pavilions. Hey, I found it very interesting that the first pavilion that the souls had to go to was the excitable pavilion. What gets you excited, ladies and gents? That's where it's at, man. That's why I have a hard time believing, and why I don't read people when they say, "Oh, what's my mission?" You don't know. I can't fucking tell you. I'm not. I don't want to even plant you. I can, but that's why I believe a lot of people are really looking for a confirmation. Come on, man. You know what gets you excited? What is it? Information? Like what is it? You know what I mean? And shit. I know what get my dad know what get him excited. Vanessa Del Rio. Like, hey man, I'm gonna have to show y'all some pictures of my dad's crib. This dude looked like a teenager with calendars of chicks all on the wall. But everybody know what gets them excited, man. We may have got disconnected from it. I'm sure we have, and probably got disconnected from the process on how to attain it. That's where it's at. It's right there. So I don't want to get all into that, but find what gets you excited, because that was the soul's first stop in those pavilions. They had to go get excited, man. So that's where the key is at. So y'all want to go to some Q&A?
Yeah, man, I'm with it.
All right, what y'all got? We've been on here for 105 minutes, they said. All right, hour and 30. We started at 8. Yeah. So any Q&A, go ahead, put it in the chat. Who is that? They said they love Ruby. Uh-oh, Ruby, see what you do to people? Hypnotize folks with them eyes. They said, who is that? I seen them. They said, who is that? That was Dimitri. He was like, who is Asia? And then he was like, tell her I love her.
Talking about what gets you excited, what lights you up. You're talking about, not women. You're talking about works and, interests. And if it is women, make it be something that is not just fleeting and superficial. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sound like some Saturn talk over there, Ruby.
That's right.
Me and Saturn now, we used to have problems. It's so interesting because my father's a Capricorn, but I just had trouble with structure and systems, and that's probably why I can look at Mom and be like, I appreciate you, because my blueprinting is more dreamy and creative and up in the dimensions that don't lend themselves to like stability and groundedness. And so with Saturn, we've had many conversations, and now I'm working with it and taking the direction and understanding the importance of the structure and the systems and the timing and the all of those things. So
handling your business, that part of your mind that need to handle that business.
Yeah.
Here's a question for y'all from Kevon Harvey. How well do y'all think the movie portrayed Black culture?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, they did choose the main character to be black. You know, so they tied it around music, which is something that we really do enjoy and love culturally. Um, they introduced a mature brand of music, jazz being uh, you know, the backbone of his musical interests. Um, I mean, I think overall they did a pretty decent job in in putting it together in animation, especially in relationship to uh, the conversation that was being had in the movie and some of the concepts that were portrayed in the movie. Um, I mean, they took it all the way upstairs and made it. They made it. I was talking to my sister about it because she watched it with her daughter, and it was it was how can I put this, Jew? It's a kid. It's supposed to be a kids movie, but it was really for me a movie for adults, right? Um, because some of the concepts in the movie, children don't even have an idea of what a quantum field is, right? Or what mysticism is, right? And so the reason that I'm mentioning that in relationship to the question is because when you look around the landscape, because I've seen some of the commentary where people are saying, why did they have to make the quantum field portrayed like, a white woman and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. But what I say to that is this: we have to get more curious as a culture about these type of phenomena. Because when you look around the landscape of the people who are having the conversations, they generally don't look like us. And I mean that in the term of the actual science.
Facts.
I'm not talking about the metaphysics. That's a different, because it's a lot of in our culture where we got a lot of people that talk about metaphysics, right? And spirituality. But like Ruby said earlier, you're just not lending your ear to anybody. And a lot of times those conversation pieces will definitely keep you not grounded and have you chasing things that are supposed to be deep, but not actually producing any phenomenon in your life. So this film was actually getting toward the science of the magnetic field and consciousness and these type of things. So, I just think we have to get a little bit more involved in those conversations in order to feel like, like Anpu said earlier, we was having a conversation. Everything ain't gonna be Wakanda, right? But they did make us the vocal point.
Right.
So I don't know, what are we asking for? That's my take on it.
What you got, Ruby?
I mean, I wasn't even observing it through that lens. That's crazy, Jew. Like the quantum field, why did they make her like a white woman? The art of it didn't have anything to do with a human form, a color, any of that. It was as abstract as it gets. So they give us this highly abstract figure with all of this knowledge and information that's going to trigger us behind it, and then they give us a black star to attract us to it. I mean, I don't know what else we want. All the stories are not going to be about our plight. If anything, this took us up out of that and just brought us up into maybe even a higher dimension of exploring these concepts beyond our race. We know our embodiment here is, as a Black person, we can't get away from that. We know it's important, but maybe this is leading us to solutions to come into a higher expression of that. You know what I mean? A higher expression of being a Black person here. And I love Jamie Foxx as that character. I love that they gave us the visual of us. And I love that that main character, John, escorted us into exploring this whole movie, this whole realm about, you know, our souls and you know, quantum and creatorship and all of this stuff. So I wasn't looking at it in terms of how it portrayed Black people. I was happy that it attracted us into the whole storyline with the lead character being Black.
Yes.
Got you. Very well put. Shout out to Django, aka Jamie Foxx. Divine Divinity, what helped you all make it out of the first stages of flowing ups and downs and stay in a continuous flow of alignment?
Could you repeat that again, Dabir?
What helped you all make it out of the first stages of flowing ups and downs and staying in a continuous flow of alignment?
It's a great question. I think what it is I think what they portrayed in the movie is a spark. Once you get lit, it's a wrap. Once you know, especially when you get into this headspace, because there's never a time where somebody's reporting something back to me about an experience that they had where I'm not like super excited. And Pooh will tell you that. I've been doing this for a long time. Excuse me. You know, 5 or 6 years in relationship to this type of information. And he'll tell you every time I call him, I'm as excited as I was 5 years ago when the first testimony came back.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And it'd be the same win.
Every time, right?
Every time. Facts. Oh, you still there, Jew?
I think he stepped away.
I had to give me some water, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got a different take on the question. If you say what helped you make it out of the first stages of flowing ups and downs, I think if you're talking about for me, here's the kicker. I still have downs. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's me, because my bar is so high. I always really feel like I'm down. I had this conversation today. And I'm told that, you know, I'm hard on myself, but yeah, of course I am. The bar that I got set, and I feel like I'm 17 years behind. When I picked up the goddamn program of no money down real estate, Carlton Sheets. I'm from the old school, you know, 2000, 99, when the old school dude used to come on the late night infomercials. And then I got approved to buy a crib. And then I put it down because I was scared. And then 17 years later, it kicks in. And then I start buying houses 2 streets over in the same neighborhood where I got approved from 17 years ago. If I would have gotten this shit 17 years ago, yeah, I'm goddamn hard on myself. That's me. And then as a man, I feel like I'm behind because my ideal of wanting to provide the best that I can for my family and look at the potential of what is greatness. And I just can't settle. So my bar is hard. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel down. So even in my ups, what happens is for me, I had to learn how to set a higher bar. So you got the crest wave going up, but now since my bar is higher, which means I went to a new plateau of I'll be honest with you, finances for me. And then what happens is my new down is actually a new high. You feel me? So my new down is a new high. You know what I mean? So let me put it to you like this. I don't play with $20, $30 products. I play with product that's 40,000, 50,000, 100K. I play with 5-digit checks on a continuous basis, sometimes 6. You feel me? And I'm trying to scale that. So my new down is $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. Whereas before it could have been a $20 product that only yielded me XYZ. You understand what I'm saying? So my continuous flow is to set a new standard. So my new low is beyond an old high, if that makes sense to you. And that's my flow.
Anybody else got some questions out there, Dabir?
Yeah, let me see. Nah, man, that's really it, man. I don't see nothing else. Truly spiritual, not diluted. Yeah, any more? Y'all got something else, man? What you got going on, Drew? What's new, man? What's coming? Hold on, we got something. Hold on. We got something. What do you think about the children going to Earth having no fear? They seem very excited to jump down to Earth. That seemed like a Ruby question.
Well, when you coming from a place like how they were depicted on that level, where they all knew, you know, like 22 said, man, all this stuff is an illusion. So if you coming from that place, right, then you would go with no fear. Because you would know, like, this is not really, especially the way that they were portraying Earth, like it was the lower realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're coming from a place where you know even up here, if this is an illusion here, then what does that got to be down there, right? So just in the dynamic and the way they were portraying Earth versus where they were coming from, you know, but I always say, like, there's nothing realer than the experience of living, right? So, like, you know, we hear it all the time in spiritual corners and circles, and this is the Maya, this is the illusion, right? But if I hit my head on some bricks, it's going to hurt.
Facts.
If my stomach is empty, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so albeit you may know at the grander scale that this thing is not, you know, what our sensory modules are telling us it is, we still do not have a disconnect from it where physically and emotionally we're not registering what's happening around us. And so sometimes that can be a cop-out for not wanting to do more, for not wanting to do better.
Speak on it.
You know, and then you end up suffering because of it. And sometimes you can't blame people for that line of thinking because they haven't been introduced to just how powerful they really are. And so they succumb to, you know, the environment, you know, what people say about them, to them, etc. But I like to err on the side of caution with that whole thing of illusions, and because we here, damn it. We here. You know. So I hope that answers the question.
What you got, Ruby? The children, joyful, coming to Earth. Yeah, excited.
That was the one of the most inspiring aspects of it, because the more work that I do with getting in communication and alignment with my greater aspect, from that perspective, it's creative experimentation, and this is why we choose to come. Those of us who choose to come, 22 was not having it. But so that excitement to come down here and play and exercise all of these things you just got from this pavilion and that pavilion, and to come down here and to bring it together and to experience something else. I think what it was portraying is that that's by design, and there's so much joy and fun and excitement if we're looking at it um, from a greater perspective. And I think that's why it's important to stay girded up in our meditation regimens and communing with our greater aspect, because the vantage point from that perspective keeps it all clear. You know what I mean? Keeps it all clear. And I feel like that's why, again, it's so important to stay in that creative structure, because when you're staying in the creative structure and, you're not in the problem solving structure, you stay more in that frequency and vibe of, excitement, enjoyment. And, the sister asked, like, how do you stay there? How do you move beyond the oscillative structure in the field that can, take you forward and bring you back? How do you move beyond that to stay in a more consistent vein of flow? And there's no real tricks. Yeah, there's some strategies, but you just have to be consistent about your daily regimens and your meditation and the focus of your mind. And we're not here living a static life. There's movement, there's oscillations, there's ebbs and there's flows. So, like Noble said, what once was a high then becomes a low because you didn't move on up, you know? So staying girded up in aligning with your greater being and staying in creative structures and applying your mind to things that you want to create. That's how you move beyond the oscillative pattern in the field.
Yeah. That's the flow. The flow is the wave. So the wave is a up and down, or if you want to say left to right, depends how you look at it. It's a crest and a trough in wave science. You know what I'm saying? So that's the wave. All right, man. Minister Jew, closes out, man. What you got going on? And Ruby, follow up.
Man, I'm steady, consistent, coaching people up in these memberships, man. Right, that's my spark. Right, that's what I enjoy to do. Is to get people to a place to know that they are the real center of the phenomenon of their own life, man. And so each and every month, 4 or 5 times out of the month, we convene webinars, conference calls. I stay inspired, so I'm always bringing new data because I stay in that state where I'm always, looking for how do I add texture, right, to this conversation. Where are the details at? So I might say something and somebody may not get it this way, but if I say it this way, they might understand it. I'm just always trying to get people to their next breakthrough, man. And so the membership is available, theimaginationguru.com. See the membership tab there. I got a bunch of webinars for download over there too. If you're interested in some of those products, they're available. January is a full month for me. I'm doing a time to heal on January 21st. Just got a beautiful testimonial back from the sister Monica. I think she's in the chat tonight too, in relationship to her, to her previous diabetes, in which, I remember I gave that PDF to Monica a grip ago. And then, we talked, she called, email. We just had conversation. And one thing about Monica too.
Monica be at work, third shift, and will be like, send that recording out, guys. I'm at work.
That's right. If she don't make it to something because she busy, she always the first one, like Jew and Pooh send the recording. Like, give me that. I got to have that. Right. And so she's wholeheartedly invested and she got the faith of a mustard seed, man. And so she gave us a story about how, she went to the doctors, man, and the doctor's like, in all my years of medical diagnosing people, I ain't never seen nothing like this. Mm-hmm. Right? So 2021, I want to make this about the healing journey. I strongly feel I got to move into that bag. Anpu, no. 6 house son. What I'm gonna do, the beer, right?
That's right.
So and I've had experiences before with other people with healing. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I just feel like the right thing to do, especially with the climate, the way that it is today, everything that's going on. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when people see that, it inspires folks to know that, look, man, this thing ain't what they told you it is. At least that's not the end of the story. It may be a part of the story, but it's not the end all be all to the story. And so I'm not one to go around and like bash Western medicine. That's just never been my MO. It has its place. It has its place, right? Many people have had their life extended because of Western medicine, right? So, and that's not to say that some things haven't happened in Western medicine to make you question it either. I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is it does has its place. But there's another level that we can take it to, specifically for the things that Western medicine says we have no answer for. And that's where, or the answer that we have for it is going to take you through some strenuous things that, is going to weaken your vitality. It's going to make you not want to enjoy living anymore. So that's where I decided to step in and utilize these things that I've been studying all these years and put it into a practical manner where people can pick the tools up and use them. And that's what Monica been doing. And so shout out to that sister for sharing her story with the world, at least to the community of people that listen to what we got to say.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it, man. Memberships, The Imagination Guru.
4 quadrants, buddy.
Oh, yeah, we do. The 4 quantum quadrants. I gotta get that email out too, Debir, because I gotta get all the members. I'm gonna need all my members to send me an updated picture and tell me what region of the country you in. You down south, you Midwest, you West Coast, or you East Coast? I need to know, because I'm putting people in groups this year, and we're gonna amplify this whole phenomenon of the group, right? Because when you start to read these books on mysticism, they'll tell you, what do they tell you? They tell you that the strongest form of quote unquote magic is unity.
Yeah.
Unity. So you see it in scripture where they say stuff like where 2 or 3 agree. So they're telling you it's something about people who are agreeing to something on the same wavelength, making that crest pattern on that wave that Noble mentioned, where things are produced. So we're gonna be doing that all 2021. So on specific dates. I got this thing lined up, but I got to get that email out to everybody so I can get people to respond back, so that we can start implementing that in January as well. So that's pretty much it, man, for me.
Ruby, you up tomorrow? What you got?
I'm so excited, Jew, for 2021 in the membership, and just reflecting on Monica's testimony, it's very, very basic, but so impactful for me to know that, you know, a few times a month, I'm going to get on a call and get edified with teaching and then be among people who are just, you know, interested in what I'm interested in. They're applying it. You know, it's so much inspiration when you hear the testimonies, you know what I mean? And the testimonies are so varied too. So I'm excited about it. As for me, I'm just really moving more into a, um, I don't want to say public space, but I've been kind of working behind the scenes and, you know, kind of with my nose down and just word of mouth. But now getting more public and sort of publicizing the work that I'm doing. And so um, I got a site up. You can go check it out. I have sessions available. You guys know my background is clinical psychology. I'm in a point now where I'm doing more recoding work versus just talk therapy and helping folks get into a creative structure and release, you know, these old magnetic points and these old structures that sabotage. And so I'm available for sessions for that. I got merch on the site, and I'll drop the site in the chat as well. There's a scheduling link on the site. Everything you need is there. So that's what I'm into right now.
What you got tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we got the vision board workshop, which I'm so excited about because I'm always excited about folks having resources and tools to be creative and to start actualizing things that are, you know, in their minds and in their hearts that they want to do. And certainly being able to create visuals, not only for our manifestation work, but in our other endeavors as well. It's just a pleasure for me to help folks with that. And so I'm looking forward to the workshop tomorrow, getting together with everybody, sharing what I know, getting into a creative structure with everybody, and looking to see what we can render, and knowing that folks are going to be able to jump on this platform and do some amazing, amazing things after the workshop. So that's what we got going on. So it's tomorrow at 8 p.m. If you're joining, I guess Noble, you're going to drop the link
Yeah, I put a
to
link for y'all.
purchase
Yep.
and just have your images ready to go at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So you go to myastrologycoach.com, click on the events tab, and then you can click on webinars. It's cool. I'm gonna go grab a link for you right now in the chat. So it's myastrologycoach.com. Click on webinars. Click on events, then click on webinars. You'll see Ruby right there with the Manifest Destiny. And guess what, man? It's like crazy crackhead price, like $20. All right. All right. So yeah, that's tomorrow. That's kickoff. Nicole Beatty, you in the chat. I want you to testify to something for me. So what I got going on, my next thing it will be with Ruby tomorrow. I'll be chiming in on the vision board workshop doing the opening. I just want to hit y'all with some scripture real fast and show you from the Bible standpoint of what the vision is. Habakkuk 2:2, the book of the Bible talks about make the vision plain and then put it on tablets. But I want to show you two things. One, the type of vision they're talking about. Two, the importance of calendar timekeeping as it pertains to your vision is what they're talking about. I'm going to show you what these words mean literally from the dictionary. And then Friday, which is the first of the year, first of the month, first of the year, we're getting together Friday night, and we're having a private thing within the Family Wealth Club. That's at the Prosperity Investment Group, the membership, where we're getting together and we're going to talk about the law of vibration and the frequency of financing. And I'm going to bring one of my mentors, Rod Khalif, some things that he taught me through his membership and mentorship dealing with goal setting. Very, very, very important, powerful stuff, super duper powerful stuff. So that's what I got going on. Join me, the Family Wealth Club, man. It's all about for me, I get happy where, you know, Ruby can come on and not just share information, but we all can share together. And being able to help people put money in a pocket is a big thing for me. So with that, I've been blessed to be in a position to have gotten real estate and I have properties. And one of my properties that I'm able to do right now is absolutely, I can sell you the property if you want to buy it. If you want to team up with somebody and buy the property, you can buy it. That's cool. Or if you want to partner up and say, you know what, nobody step up to the plate and say, hey, I can't buy it, but I want to help you fix it. That's cool. We can partner up and we can do something with that. I got Nicole right here in the chat. Every month, Nicole, we partners in. She's in on 2 rental properties that I have. And she'll tell you, she's here, she gets paid every single month. Okay. And that's just what it's about for me, man. I can't make it no plainer than that. That's my new passion, and my joy is where I'm at. So join me, the Prosperity Investment Group. Okay. Click on Family Wealth Club and join us, man, and start putting your family in a position of ownership and residual income, and be a part of other ventures, because it's not just about real estate. That's just my passion. What I like to bring. The second weekend, my man Brandon from Atlanta, he comes in, he deals with stocks. The second weekend I go first with real estate. The third weekend he come in with stocks and whatnot. And on the fourth weekend, you will see Asia Muhammad, who was on with us. What was that? Yesterday or day before yesterday? She's coming in with some just phenomenal information and help ground that masculine energy that we have over there and make it one collective whole and whatnot. So join us, man. Check us out. Again, the Prosperity Investment Group, Family Wealth Club. Click on that membership tab. And got one more thing for you. But it totally slipped me. But though, it was somebody in the chat. 2 things. Andrea, great for you. Ruby, you're deeply embodied in your feminine essence. It's so glorious to witness your being. Heart. And somebody asked a question, Astro Goddess question. When you say to your spark, may not be your mission, how does looking at your North Node help you find your mission or validate what your mission is? That is the mission. See, don't let the movies get into that part. See, what happened is, remember, the movie is telling you that the spark is not your mission because they want you to enjoy life. Whereas in the chart, it's saying, hey, the North Node is something that you should accomplish. You see what I'm saying? So that is the mission in the chart and whatnot. All right. But it still can be either that's a point of growth for you, or it could be a point of agitation for you. But the thing is, still know what makes you happy, and then understand.
Could be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. yeah. That's Jew's thing right there. So, it could be a point of agitation for you because it represents growth, but see it as the lesson growth, and also be in harmony with the things that bring you joy, man. That's all. So that's how you tap in. Just lead a chart along. It's still the same. That's the mission. You know what I'm saying?
I want to. Somebody had another question here too a little earlier that I just saw before we close. They said, "What about the guy who was in the barbershop who
went crazy?"
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
He snapped out when he got pulled into that other dimension, right? But remember, when 22 basically exposed him and said, "Oh, he's only doing this because he's really, he's got these, his own internal demons, right?" Mm-hmm. Which is funny too, to be just tonight, I was in one of my nigga moments, and I hit Noble. I'm like, nigga, what idol really means? A person who has mental hangups and things that they're letting terrorize them mentally.
Wow.
Right? So anyway, that just made me think about that, thinking about that character. But I always say this to people. If you have traumas or some type of mental hangup, you need to address that first. You need to address that first. Because what tends to happen is, and I see it all the time in these, in spirituality, you can witness people who are already not stable mentally because of some type of emotional trauma, psychological issue. And then they get this spirituality and they just turn into cuckoo. Right? And I'm not knocking, I'm just saying that's what happens.
Yeah.
Because the mental faculty that has had all of these inconsistencies running through it has never had a time to adjust or to alter that pattern. So then people are putting, you're trying to plant seeds, but you got all of these twigs and these weeds everywhere. So it doesn't really come up, these clusters don't come up clean. And that can become a problem. So that character, there was a great psychological bent that they placed there just to see, like, man, he was struggling through his, because what did he walk in and he say? You sure know how to put it. Or he made some comment like, thanks for basically putting me on the spot.
Right.
And exposing me, in front of all these people. Right. And then when he got pulled down into this dimension where all of this weird stuff was going on, when he pulled him up out of there, he was like a little baby. Please, somebody help me. So, if you got issues, man, you need to learn how to deal with those first before you start delving into some of these deeper concepts and spirituality. You got to get yourself clean. So, like Ruby, background in clinical psychology, I'm sure she knows this. Like, and this is where the visual component is so important. Man, Sigmund Freud supposed to have been the father of talk therapy, right? Mm-hmm. Man, you go through his volumes, though, and it's only like one case where he actually reversed anything. And it was a little boy who was like 13. He had a bad tick, and he was vomiting all the time. And so he decided to take the young boy through a guided visualization where he had the young boy tell him everything that he saw when he was a child. And it turns out that the young boy, when he was like 6 or 7, saw his uncle drown in front of him, and his father couldn't save him at like a lake or a pond or something. And that just like stuck with him, for the next, 6 or 7 years. And it created an imbalance in him. But the moment that Freud took him back through that guided imagery, when he came up, the vomiting and the tick went away. Anpu's done this with a woman who had, asthma.
All her life.
All her life. So like, you got to get to you got issues, man. You got to clean it up first, man. And so that's and I enjoy helping people do it. People know I make personal PDFs for people all the time in relationship to that type of thing. So that was another part of the movie. They had so many little, moments where if you're looking at the broader picture, some of those little things might go unnoticed because it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with the main plot of the movie. But they had a few little moments in there where it was some teachable things outside of, the afterlife and reincarnation and some of these concepts that we're talking about tonight. So that was a really good question from the person in the chat. Oh, and look, follow me on Instagram, Minister Jew, the Imagination Guru. There's plenty more content like this. I'm always sharing something over there, trying to give people more insight to the information that they're learning. And it's a nice treat. If you go over there and scroll, you'll be over there and be pleasantly surprised. I promise
you. Yeah. That's a deep point, man. I guess you opened up that can.
It's getting deeper too in the chat, I'm seeing.
I know. You guys you gotta watch the information that you take in, and if you have to be able to tell the difference between conflicting ideologies. That's a problem. If you have to learn how to develop righteous discrimination and be able to figure out which path that you're going to travel to progress yourself. All this dipping and dabbling with everybody like that will aid to your neurosis and create problems in your life. Seriously. You know what I'm saying? So, choose for real, like really choose and look for testimonials, like real life people in the chat. You know what I mean? We ain't got to go get nothing and show you a still picture. You may not believe the video, but I don't know. You may not even believe the real people in the chat in today's world, but whatever. You know what I mean? That's why, hopefully, I think she gonna heard her words. Saturday, I'm gonna be right back on right here with somebody else that's around us. You know what I'm saying? And that's my whole goal, is to start bringing people that's within our community on and sharing the platform with you. So you guys who have yet to actually join us per se in the membership, you just know that it's real. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna hush my mouth. You good, Ruby?
Yeah. I'm just looking through here. Jew brought up Freud. Yeah, I don't know how great his success record was with strategies and interventions with client, but what he did is he got us focused in on the unconscious and subconscious processes, and that's where the muscle is back there, and that's what drives so much of the self-sabotage and stuff like that material back up in there. And they got him on I don't know if it's Netflix or something. I think it's called Freud. It's really quite dark, and I actually couldn't watch it. But the people are talking about like sitting under the moon, Noble, and exploring unconscious processes and traumas and stuff like that. And I just said, just make sure you're staying grounded and definitely be discerning about what you're doing, because if you're not grounded and you tuning into all these things, you can become overloaded. We got to be careful still. So that's my tidbit on that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Divinity, Starry Skies, man, she be back. She was actually busy today. But that hopefully we can wrap that up this weekend and have the service available to you. Jew got one. she gave Jew a toe reading. Jew got a toe reading. You know what I mean? It's I'll be cracking up because it be dealing with elements. So you start talking about elements, my ears perk up, and it's easy for me to learn any science. I mean, I taught myself Hebrew literally, and I now teach people how to read and write Hebrew. You know what I mean? In 4 weeks, I can have you reading and writing Hebrew, all because I knew that each letter was associated with something cosmic. And so once you drop that to me, it's easy for me. Same thing with the human spine, the way the spine is broken down. So anyway, but we good, y'all good? We straight?
Did she drop her information about the toe reading?
17? Nah, I'm gonna help her out on some things so far as getting it on the site and stuff. So
nice.
It'll be available. It should be available by Sunday.
Nice. Now you talking about elements real quick. This reminds me, you guys remember Quiet Coyote?
No, I don't remember that. What's
Jerry
that, cartoon
like,
or something?
The little
Yeah. The little
like,
thingy. Yeah.
Quiet Coyote.
Yeah,
that mudra is to calm the pitta vata, which is the pitta dosha, which is fire.
Okay.
You know how they were all excitable.
Yeah.
Quiet Coyote, get them elements in balance. Calm down.
Yeah.
So many jewels in there.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah, man. Well, this was a great build. I'm glad Ruby came on and shared her wisdom and spirit here with everybody on the call. Know as usual, man. It's great building with you, man.
Absolutely.
Shout out to all the people that came through and kicked it with us tonight. We appreciate you guys coming out to support us, man. Listen, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share, all that good stuff, man. Hip Hop Astrology TV. The Imagination Guru on YouTube. I don't know if Ruby, you got a YouTube platform?
I mean, right here, what I'm on right now, but it's nothing on there as of right now. I think maybe it's one video.
Y'all make sure y'all get to the Manifest Destiny Vision Board Workshop. It's gonna be dope. Y'all make sure y'all be there tomorrow. Pack the house, right? Because it's an investment in yourself. That's how I look at it. This information, it's an investment. Me and Anpu had these conversations all the time. Like, man, people be coming back with these testimonials. Listen, I had one member came back with a testimonial for like $140,000 off like $120 product.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
People are investing $75, $84 a month, and they're applying what they learn, and they're reversing diabetes. Could you put a number on that? Could you really put a number on that?
You cannot.
So like, these really are investments, and so we only sharing it to we you know. Anpu tell you, man, he been stopped counting the money testimonials, but like,
yeah,
it's so many. But I still feel like I have to show them because I know how people get. They forget. We are some forgetful beings, right? And so I'm always showing every chance I can. Look, now you're gonna look because this is really happening, right? And so you just gotta trust yourself in the process, and the results will follow, man.
Facts. Well, we see y'all next time, man. We appreciate you.